Hello everybody. As of today, we are officially making a how to use OBS tutorial. Now, the reason I am doing this is because I've been asked so many times on how to use OBS. Not only by viewers, but also by IRL friends, in which case, one of my friends literally just asked me how to do it, and I did not want to explain it for the 15th time, so I told him, wait a couple hours, and you will see a video on it. So that is what we are doing. Anyway, to get started, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to install OBS. You can do this by simply searching up OBS Studios right up into any web browser. First link that should pop up should be the right one. In case you're going to want to click on it, download it for any operating system you use. Once it's fully installed on your computer, you're just going to want to go into it, do anything you want with it. Go into it, and it should look something like this. Now, this screen right here will be black, and the reason for this being is because you also will not have a scene. So the first thing we are going to do is create a scene. You're just going to want to press this plus icon right down here and name it whatever you want. We're going to name it tutorial OBS, in which case we already have the scene, so we're going to go from where we are now here. This name is already in use. Yep. So just name it that, press enter, and it will give you your scene. Next up, we're going to need a display capture. Now, you could run a game capture. I do that for some things. For example, if we go into main gameplay Kuma, which it looks a bit odd for you right now, but you should be seeing right around here, model. I use this for when I'm using my VTuber model. It captures a very specific application. That is the purpose of a game capture. It captures one application only, nothing else. I prefer display captures because it allows you to capture the entire display, anything that pops up on that screen. Now, I have 3 different screens. One technically is a drawing pad, but it still functions as a screen. So I get to have one thing on one monitor, nobody can see it, but then the moment I put it onto my main monitor, everyone can see it. I like it that way mainly because it allows me to interact with the audience in a more effective manner. Now, beyond the display capture, there's also media sources, which are just stuff like MP4 files you can import in, image slideshows, which of course are just PNGs that are in a slideshow, images, PNGs, anything else similar to it, GIFs, anything you want. Color source. I have never messed with this tool, so we're gonna do it now. It's literally just going to be, yep. It allows you just to make a simple PNG of any color. Simple enough. Now there's the browser source. This is going to be a very important one, as I will show you later. For now, we're not going to touch it. I will bring you guys back to that in a bit. Audio output capture. These can be important. For example, let's say you have 2 audio outputs because you're splitting your audio, like I do for my music. I split my music audio. For specific reasons, I'll touch in a separate video. But you're going to want a audio output capture. That way you can have one audio output and another audio output, as well as an audio input capture, for example, a microphone or a headset, anything that you need to input voice or sound into OBS with. Then there's the application audio capture. It's in beta. I have not used it before because it has seemed unreliable to me, but it allows you to capture the audio of one specific application. Now, I would like to do this for stuff like Discord. That way I can have everything pop up, but then it records it through a separate feed so that I can mute it at specific times in a video that I'm editing later. Stuff like that would be very helpful for me. So far I haven't used it because it is in beta, as I said earlier, but I am planning on trying it out sometime soon. Anyway, those are all the basic functions right here. You could add scenes, text, simple stuff like that, video capture device for a camera, or a window capture for specifically a kind of like a browser source, but instead of browser source, only a window you have open. For example, right now I have one of my previous videos open right here. I'll add a window capture, and it'll capture this specific window right here. In which case, you guys can watch it along with me. Enter in by just applying a debuff. And now that we have talked about the very basics of basics, adding scenes, adding sources, getting all of your browser set up, we're going to want to get into the microphone settings and the properties of all this stuff. So if you click on the three dots of any one of these things, for example, if you right click here, you can check out the properties. The properties allow you to customize and change all the settings that you are showing inside of your applications. For example, if I'm going to go into the properties of my microphone, it allows me to choose every microphone that I use and just pick the one that I want to do. This sometimes can be annoying for things like, an example would be my Elgato Wave 3 had an update about 2 weeks ago, and my microphone settings, the properties changed because it went back to default instead of going to the Wavelength stream Elgato Wave 3. And when that happened, I did not notice, and I streamed for 3 hours without audio of me talking. It was bad. Like, it was sad. I did not want that to happen. But stuff like that can be a hassle, although it is really nice to be able to easily change the things that you need to change just right then and there. This is the same with music or different things like that, where you just need to pick an audio source that you want to keep. Now, beyond that are the advanced audio properties. Advanced audio properties are what I use most frequently for stuff like music. Track 1 is the track I use for streaming. All stream outputs come out through the track, but all video and VOD outputs come out through track 2. So then the VODs will have my game audio, they'll have my computer audio, they'll have my microphone audio, but they will not come with the music. So then I could easily edit them later, and Twitch cannot flag me for playing copyrighted music. Cough, cough. YouTube, please don't care about this video. I'm just telling people how to eat. And anyway, we'll cover all the music stuff, splitting outputs, all that stuff in a separate video. We have a lot of videos we could possibly do. Anyway, for now, we have talked about all this stuff. Now let's talk about the filters. Filters are very important. I don't have any of my music, of course, but I have plenty on my microphone. Plenty. Stuff like the noise gate. It suppresses noise. Or, well, I guess noise suppression, but I run noise suppression through my separate software. And then there's a noise gate, which a noise gate is specifically what it does. Here, we could open the face. What it does is if it senses that noise is under a specific level, it will not pick up on it and the microphone will not be going off. For example, let's say you have a fan in the background and it's making minus 40 dB of noise. If you have your thing set to minus 35 dB of noise, it will not be picking up that fan, and that fan will not be setting off your microphone. Now, let's say you're talking and the fan's going off. The fan can still be heard through the microphone if you're talking because the limit has been surpassed, and now everything's going through. That is where the noise suppression comes in. Stuff like that. Or the equalizer helps, the gain helps. All this different stuff can really help you in your streaming setup. Now, I am not the greatest with these filters. I honestly have seen way more tutorials on how to set this up than I can count because they are very difficult. It requires a lot of effort, and I recommend you do not seek me for that. You seek someone else. I cannot help you with that specific thing. Now, all I can tell you is it is important and you need to do it. Beyond that, now we're going to start looking at how to set up an overlay. My favorite way to do it is, yes, you could do it through the software, but instead of doing it through OBS itself, what we can do is we can pull up stream elements. Once you pull up stream elements, it'll ask you to sign in through whatever you use. I'm just going to sign in through Twitch real quick. And so once we sign in through whatever account we use, we can ignore this. It's kind of sad. Hey, look, I got 285 bits. I'm that obsessed, man. We're going to want to head on over to Stream Tools. Once we're in Stream Tools, Overlays. Now, overlays. This is where you can start creating your own personal overlays. If you're just getting started and you want to not put too much effort in when you're starting and you just want to get the hang of it first, go to overlay galleries. There are so many free overlays you can just grab and use, and they're not even that bad. They work so efficiently. It's great to use them. I've seen professional streamers using some of these overlays. They are not bad at all. If you do not want to put in the hassle of making your own or commissioning someone to make some for you, then go ahead and use them. That is what they're here for. But if you are wanting to use your own personal overlays, let's say I'm going to be doing my my chatting overlay. Let's go into that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in, you're going to want to make your own overlay. You're going to put it all together, go through all this. You can just make it all with the plus sign and look for all this stuff. I'll let you guys tool around with that. I'm not going to walk you through all that. What I am going to walk you through is the preview. Once you open the preview, you can copy the link. And once you copy the link, take it into OBS. And this is where the browser source comes in. Open up a browser, name it whatever the fuck you want. Once you name it, you just put in the URL you got from that. And you should have, here, let me change this is where properties really kick in. Right click, click properties, and you can change the size to whatever you request it to be. In my case, it is really helpful to just have a 1920 by 1080 overlay. And there you go. You got your overlay right there. Simple as that. It's going to be the same process if you do grab an overlay from the overlay gallery. Once you grab one, it'll copy it over. So once you do that, you got the basics out of the way. You got your overlays, you got your window capture, your display capture, your game capture, whatever you're trying to do. You got your microphone, your audio output. If you want your music, I'll tell you guys how to do that on a later video. But you got all that stuff out of the way. That's it. That's all there is to it. That's the very fundamentals of it. Beyond that, there's stuff like stream information and stuff like chats. Just keep up with that on a separate tab. What I do is I usually just load into Twitch and I head on into my creator dashboard. Inside your creator dashboard, you'll see all this stuff, but go to Stream Manager and here you can monitor everything. You can monitor all the followers, in which case, thank you, Pasta. I'm going to need to DM her later and tell her thank you for the follow. You can see all of your point redeems that people are doing, all the bits, subscribers, everything. Everything pops up here. And then you also see the chat. Your chat is very important. Keep up with it. Check it. Look over to it every 10 seconds. But then you can also control all this stuff. You can add in all these things you may need. For example, let's say you want to edit the video later. You want to add a stream marker into some clip you want to take. There you go. Just add in the add stream marker part, and then you can just click on every single portion you want to add a marker to. Or let's say you want to change it to, or let's say you want to rate a channel. There you go. It's right there. You can rate a channel. One of my favorite things is just edit stream information. This allows you to go in, change anything that you may possibly need. For example, I streamed today. Right after stream, I then proceeded to edit a video, and this was the title for my stream. Well, let's say I need to change it for whatever reason. We can just go in, change it to whatever we need to, hit done, and there you go. Now, the same goes for editing game category. You just type in the game you want, and then select the game. So now that we've done that, you need to connect your OBS to your Twitch. A lot of the times when you first log into OBS, it'll ask you to connect through Twitch. Sometimes I've had issues where that doesn't happen. What you're going to do is you're going to want to go to stream, and you're going to want to select the service. Once you select the service, you're going to want to do connect account right here. It should be right here. I'm not going to disconnect it because I do not want you guys seeing anything just in case something does pop up. But you're just going to connect your account right there, and then you can start your stream whenever you want. You're going to have your overlays, you're going to have all this stuff ready. And so that is the very fundamentals of how to use OBS and how to start streaming. I walk you guys through more complicated things such as setting up split audio, setting up VTuber models, which I'm sure the friend who DM'd me, that is primarily what they want. I'm probably gonna have to create it sooner rather than later, and stuff like that. So, as always, I will see y'all later. Have a nice day and night, whatever time zone it is for you, and goodbye, everybody.